What's up, everybody? So today's video is going to be talking about how to heal your jumper's knee for good. So let's get straight into it. So what is jumper's knee? So jumper's knee is essentially just when your patella tendon, which is that tendon right under your kneecap that connects to your shin, when that is overloaded, which causes this overuse injury. It's often in You'll see it in athletes like basketball players, volleyball players, any like jumping athletes, because jumping is the highest load on the patella tendon. So repeated jumping and high load oftentimes can overload that tendon, which will get cause you to have these symptoms. And then a lot of people thought that it was just inflammation in the tendon, so you needed to rest and let the inflammation go away. But it's actually, we know now, it's tendon breakdown. And we'll get into these different types of tendon pains and the levels of the breakdown, but it's not just inflammation. So just taking like some anti-inflammation like pills or whatever is not going to fix the problem. So what are the three types of tendon pain? So first is reactive. So this is like you had an AAU tournament over the weekend, or you played like 5 hours of basketball when you don't, and randomly your knee started to hurt. You've never felt this pain before, but this is the first time you felt it. That's reactive right there. So it's just recent overload. You did too much in one sitting. Now you're tendon sensitive. This is the time when it's the easiest to reverse, and if you just rest for 2 days or whatever, let the pain go down, you'll be fine. Something that I wish I knew when I first felt this pain. Like if you know what it is and you know that it's tendon pain, just rest. You'll be fine when you first get it. But I didn't know what it was. I kept playing through it, and then that's how you get to disrepair. You keep playing through that pain. Now the structure of the tendon is starting to break down. It tried to signal to you that it was overloaded with the pain from the reactive tendinopathy, but you ignored it. You kept playing, kept loading it. Now the structure is starting to break down. You have disrepair. This is a little bit further down the line, and now it's a little bit harder to repair. Now let's say you keep playing on it for more months and years. Like me, I played on it for like 2 years straight. Just keep playing on it, never actually addressing it fully. Now you're going to get to degenerative tendinopathy, which is really long-term damage, weaker tissue. The collagen fibers are disorganized. It's much harder to rehab. It's definitely still possible, but your tendon is going to essentially, not to scare you, but it's going to be permanently degenerative. That doesn't mean that you're always going to be in pain or that you can't function well, because it's actually the opposite. When you do have a degenerative tendon, you tend to have more tendon, or a thicker and larger tendon, so you actually have a higher ceiling for what you can handle, but you just have to get to that point smart. So it's not the end of the world. So why most people stay stuck with rehabbing their tendon pain is a lot of people would just say, okay, my tendon's in pain, I'm just going to rest. Or I have a degenerative tendinopathy for years, I just need to rest for a month and it'll go away. You just lose capacity. Your tendon has a capacity of what it can handle. So imagine your tendon like a cup, right? That's your tendon's capacity. You can only fill it up with so much water. That's the activity that you're doing, is the water, before the cup overflows. That's where your capacity ends, and then you'll start to feel tendon pain. So at that one time when you got pain, you overflowed your glass, you got pain. But now what we need to do with rehab is build a bigger cup so it can handle more load and have a higher capacity. When you rest, you're just shrinking your cup and you're losing capacity. So now your tendon can handle even less than it could before without getting pain. So that's one mistake people make. Or they just train through the pain, which is what I did, and they keep overloading it more, and they keep going down this pain cycle and go move on to disrepair and then degenerative tendinopathy, and it just keeps getting worse and harder to fix. And then the third is they try to rehab it, but they don't have a structured progression, which is what we're going to get into. So here's the healing framework on what you need to do. Stage one is pain reduction. So if you had reactive tendinopathy, you just got it, you just felt your first bout of tendon pain after doing too much one weekend, just rest. You probably don't even need to do isometrics, because that's just adding more load to the tendon. Just rest for 2 days, come back at 50% intensity of what you were doing for a few days, just chill out, and it should probably go away. But if we're at the disrepair or degenerative stage, our step one is going to be pain reduction with isometrics. So you might have to do these for a couple days, maybe a couple weeks, possibly, to just really get your pain down, probably to under a 3 out of 10. So we'll get to how to do the isometrics, but that's stage one. Then once your pain is stable day to day, we're going to move on to strength, which is going to be our slow, heavy resistance. So the tendon doesn't like being pulled on, and anything fast is going to pull on the tendon. So jumping is the fastest one, because we're stretching and shortening the tendon very fast elastically. So that would be something fast. But even in the weight room, you can move fast with a squat, and that's really yanking on the tendon. So when we do our strength work, which we'll get to we'll break down each of these stages later, but we want to go slow and heavy so that it can, the tendon can have time under tension, and it can stop stress relaxation, so we could actually load the tendon. Sorry, we get stress relaxation. We want to stop stress shielding. And then for stage 3, after you've built the base with the pain reduction, isometrics, and strength, then we want to move on to energy storage and release. So this is like storing and releasing energy, which is like going into a jump, landing and jumping. We want to be able to build up those gradually so that we can handle those movements, like cutting, stopping, accelerating, decelerating, jumping, landing, so that we can handle all those, and then so eventually we're ready for stage 4, return to sport. So for stage 1 isometrics, these are 3 of my favorite isometrics right here. The single leg extension isometric at a 60-degree angle is best for patellar tendinopathy, as you can see on that top picture. Then we have a Spanish squat isometric and a single leg wall sit. So you could choose from any of those 3. There's more, but I think those are the best 3. And we're using these to reduce our pain. They're cause an analgesic effect, which just means pain reduction. So it's like an Advil basically, but it's natural and it's helping your tendon. It improves your tendon tolerance. It could organize those collagen fibers. So it's really great for your tendon. You're going to hold these for 30 to 45 second holds. So if you're doing a single leg one, you're going to hold for 30 to 45 seconds each leg. And you should be at a weight where you feel like you can't hold it for 15. When you end 30 to 45 seconds, you should only feel like you could have held it for 15 seconds more. So that's how you know you're at a good weight. And you want to do 3 to 5 sets daily. You could do it anywhere from 1 to 3 times a day. So you want to spread these sessions out by 6 hours at least. So let's say I wake up, do my isometrics at 9. I do 3 sets of 45 seconds at 9 a.m. Then I do 3 sets of 45 seconds at 3 p.m. and then 3 sets of 45 seconds at 9 p.m. But I would start with 1 time a day and then build up. And this is just when you're in the isometric phase. You need to be doing it 3 times a day, I would say, to really get that pain down. Start with 1 time and then build up. But then we'll get to once our pain is stable, like we're waking up every day and the pain's not over a 3 out of 10, we'll move on to stage 2, slow, heavy resistance. So this is where we're building real tendon strength. A lot of like our protection for our patella tendon and just our tendon health overall is going to come from quad strength. A lot of the time when you have a painful tendon, you have inability to load your quads and activate your quads, and they're probably pretty weak. So we're going to go something just like a simple back squat or a split squat or a leg press even, and super slow tempo like I talked about earlier. So 3 seconds down, pause at the bottom, 3 seconds up. You could go anywhere from 3 seconds to 6 seconds. So 6 seconds down, pause at the bottom, 6 seconds up. That's if your tendon's even more painful, the slower you would go. But yeah, we really want to week after week try and progress on these exercises and build a lot of strength here. So still keeping in the isometrics now. So we're doing 3 to 5 sets of isometrics before our lift, and then we're getting straight into the slow, heavy resistance. And I would just keep running that for multiple weeks on end until you get pretty strong with your slow, heavy strength numbers and your pain is down. And then that's how we know we can move on to store and release, which is where we're reintroducing, like I said, those elastic movements like plyometrics and accelerations and decelerations. And we're starting at low intensity, so this would just be like pogo hops or like a very low box jump or a very low depth drop. And then week to week, we want to build up the intensity and the volume. So you could start dropping off like a 12-inch box. Then the next session, try and drop off a 16. If you didn't have any pain after that, drop off a 24, and then do the same thing with box jumps, accelerations, decelerations. Obviously, I can't give you everything here on exactly how to go through these progressions, but this is just a general idea. You need to be starting at a low intensity and low volume and then gradually building up with all of these stages that we do. So then at the end of stage 3, you should be at a point where you're mimicking very similar loads and intensities to what you'll be seeing in the game. So you're accelerating and decelerating at 100% intensity. You're doing max jumps, max drops. That's how we know we could return to sport, which is stage 4. And this is a gradual return. So you're not going 7 days a week playing pickup 7 days a week immediately. That's just a sure way to reverse all your progress that you just made. We want to start low. So let's just say 1 day a week, 30 minutes of shooting. Then if you feel fine the next week, you could do 2 days a week of 30 minutes of shooting. Keep going, keep going. Then once you're at 6 days a week of shooting, maybe you add 1 day where you play pickup. That's obviously on the conservative end, being like super slow with it. It depends on where you're at with your pain and how long you've had the tendinopathy for. You can maybe go faster or slower, but that's just the general idea. You want to be building up slowly, which we'll get to in the next slide, which is load management. So never increase your load more than 10% per week. So we see this all the time with NBA players. They'll sit out for load management for 2-3 weeks, not really play basketball much, and then they come back and they tear their patella tendon and tear their Achilles because they're going from 0 to 100 so quick. So you never want to increase your load more than 10% per week. So let's say you're playing 1 time a week right now. That's where you're at with your load. You wouldn't want to jump to 5 times a week the next week just because you feel good. Your body is not adapted to that. You want to just jump up a little bit each week. So jump up 10%. So if you played for 60 minutes one week, 10% of that would be you add another, I don't know, however many minutes you add. Let's just say add 30 minutes next week, 1 time a week. So this goes with everything. Track how many times you're jumping, track how many times you're lifting, or what weight you're lifting, at what intensity, what sets and reps, and track the intensity of everything you're doing, and then just gradually bump it up. And you want to maintain this for a long time. If you ever have a time where you're taking a week off, then you can't come back 100% the next week. You have to gradually build it up. And then another thing, once you're kind of healed, I would say, like, and you're back to playing sports, I would always keep an isometrics. That's what I do. Maybe you could get to a point eventually where you don't need them, but I just think they always help to use during all 4 stages. And then I use them before any activity. So before I play basketball, get on the court, I do at least 3 sets of isometrics. Before I lift, I do 3 sets. Just helps manage flare ups, helps keep that load through the tendon, keep your quads firing. I would just always keep them in. And then some lifestyle factors that are going to affect your tendon health are body weight. So this is pretty self-explanatory, but if you have excess body weight to lose, like you're overweight or you have excess fat, that's obviously more stress on your body. It's like you're walking around, running around, jumping around with a weighted vest on all day. It's obviously going to be pounding your tendons more. So if you do have some extra body weight to lose, I would lose that. Make sure you lose that. That's going to probably help your tendon feel a lot better. Sleep. Everyone knows that sleep is so important for recovery, but it's also super important for your tissue and tendon repair. Your tendon really responds well to a good circadian rhythm, which just means going to sleep and waking up at the same time every day and getting adequate sleep. When your circadian rhythm's thrown out of whack, your tendon is also thrown out of whack because it's pretty complex, but your tendon has a cycle of when it knows that you're working out, when it repairs itself. So let's say you work out at 5 p.m. every day and you go to sleep at 10 p.m. every day and wake up at 6 a.m., it knows from 10 p.m. to 6 p.m. or 6 a.m. I'm going to be repairing myself. And then if one day you randomly stay up till 5 a.m., it's not going to have that window to repair itself, and your tendon pain is going to probably not feel great. And then nutrition also matters, like eating healthy, eating, we'll get to this in the next slide, some supplementation and stuff, but just eating overall healthy, eating whole foods, hitting your macronutrients are going to support your overall health, which supports your tendon health. So some specific nutrition for tendon health, just make sure you're getting adequate protein. 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight is ideal. And then you can, this is optional, but you can add a collagen supplementation with vitamin C. This is the one I use by Vital Proteins. There's a bunch out there, but I like this one because it has the vitamin C portion already built into it, so you don't have to take that separately. And some studies show that this could like help the collagen synthesis in your tendon. So take it 30 to 60 minutes before training, before your tendon session, and it's gonna, that way it's already absorbed into your bloodstream, and then when you do work out your tendon, it can get absorbed into the tendon and help produce collagen synthesis. So it's just optional. I think it could help, so you might as well if you have the money for it. And then just to recap some biggest mistakes that people make: resting too long, or on the other end, jumping back into activity too fast, ignoring pain. The pain in your tendon is just your body literally telling you that what you did was too much and you need to scale it back and build up more gradually. And then skipping strength work, because weak quads, weak hamstrings, weak calves, weak glutes are going to be a big factor for your tendon pain, and getting those super strong. Like if you did nothing but just get super strong in the weight room, that would help your tendon pain a lot. Getting strong with your legs. And then, so key takeaways, just to overcap, tendon pain is a load problem. So it just means that, like I said, your cup, you overflowed your cup with too much water, too much activity, then it can handle, then it can fit. And you need to expand your cup so that it can handle more water next time. progress through the stages, progress slowly, use pain as a guide, build capacity slowly, like I said, and just stay consistent. Consistency is key. There's going to be days where you're tempted to just, oh man, I just want to go out while I'm in stage 1 isometrics and just go play for an hour like I miss playing, but you have to stay consistent and it's going to pay off on the back end. And to close up, fixing jumper's knee isn't about avoiding load. You don't need to just rest it off. You need to build the capacity so you can handle load. And so one more thing I wanted to mention that I'll leave the link in my description. I offer one-on-one coaching for stuff like this. Whether it's just you need to fix your tendon pain for any sport, fix your tendon pain, or if you're a basketball player, which you probably are, and you want holistic development, I offer one-on-one coaching where we go through everything from watching your game film to figure out your strengths and weaknesses, giving you a customized program for on the court, in the weight room, nutrition, sleep, mental, lifestyle, everything. So click the link in the description to book a free call with me if you want to talk about that. I'll also leave the link to my website so you can look into more of what I offer through that one-on-one coaching. And as always, thanks for watching and see you guys later.